Welcome back. Welcome back to Fondue Beans, y'all. So, Jordan Peterson, whether you like him or not, he always has some good points to talk about. I've watched so many hours of his videos while I'm jogging, while I'm working. I've learned so much about life through this man. I look up to him. He's very motivational, very smart, and definitely has his beliefs. Without further ado, let's look at the 12 rules for life. I read the book. Actually, I listened to the book and I bought it on Audible, and I've been listening to it in the mornings when I wake up, when I go on walks and stuff like that. It's a great book. So, 12 Rules by Jordan Peterson. Whether you like him or not, check out these rules and let's react to which rules are favorite.
Go through the rules first. So rule 1 is stand up straight with your shoulders back. And rule 2 is treat yourself like you're someone responsible for helping. And number 3, which is very tightly associated with number 2, they're sort of variations on a theme, is make friends with those people who want the best for you.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, these last 2 rules aren't injunctions designed to make your life easier. They're actually injunctions designed to make your life more difficult. Kierkegaard said at one point that his role in life, given that everything was proceeding to become easier and easier in all possible ways, that there would come a time when people would cry out for difficulty. And so that's partly how he envisioned his role in the world, interestingly enough, as a universal benefactor of mankind who would strive to do nothing other than to make life more difficult for everyone. Right. And so rule 2 and 3 are like that, because treat yourself as if you're someone responsible for helping isn't the same as be nice to yourself. It's not that. And to associate with people who want the best for you means that they get to demand the best from you. And that's also not an easy thing. Rule 4 is
So I'm gonna pause. He's gonna rule number 4. Compare yourself to not who you were yesterday, but who you can be. So the rule that he talked about when he said act as though you're caring for somebody else when you take care of yourself. So I think that right there is like so important, because I think there's a lot of times where I'll look at somebody and they're doing something just that you think they're wasting their time, they're laying around too much, they're watching too many videos. We critique other people and we say, oh, they could do so much better, and we push them, we encourage them. If they're in a bad relationship, we encourage them to say, hey, get out of this. If we see them doing something bad and we say, hey, don't do this, it's bad. Imagine if you saw yourself in that perspective where it's like, I want to help myself and I want the best for me, so what? I'm going to start doing the things that I'm critiquing other people to improve their lives with. Oh, if he only got up a little bit earlier, he could get his work done. If he had his calendar and scheduled his day, he could do so much more. That's the rule that he's trying to talk about, where, man, better myself, like I'm encouraging somebody else to be better. So I'm gonna look at myself as if I'm taking care of somebody. And I think when you do that, I think you value yourself, your worth, and you're able to critique yourself and be the best version of yourself, because you're being objective, and you're saying, you know what? I'm gonna look at myself from somebody else's perspective and say, am I okay for what I'm doing? Do I want to better myself, and where do I need to better myself? So I really do like that one. Next, we're gonna go to the part where he's gonna say, hey, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, who you are today, not yesterday.
compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who someone else is today.
Ooh,
And that's an
my bad.
injunction about envy. Right? It's easy. You need you need things that are above you, because you need to do something worthwhile with your life. You need something to aim at. But
Yeah.
one of the consequences of that is that You can become envious of people that you believe have attained more in a deserved or undeserved manner, and that can make you bitter. And so it's much better to compare yourself to yourself and to use yourself as the target for improvement and comparison. Rule 5 is don't let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. And the rule of thumb there is if you dislike them, then other people will. And it's a bad idea to allow your children to act in a way that makes other children dislike them or adults dislike them, given that they're going to have to deal with children and they're going to have to deal with adults. So your primary responsibility as a parent is to help your child learn how to behave so that the social world opens up its arms to them and welcomes them at every level. And you've done your job if you can manage that. And it's not a simple thing to do. Rule 6 is put your house in perfect order.
Okay, so that was interesting, right? I don't know. I think the fact that Jordan Peterson is talking about, like, don't let your kids do things that other people, things that you don't like. Like, a lot of times we let. I guess the question is, how much of our beliefs, and how we want our kids to be, should we allow that to influence the way we raise our kids, versus letting them be who they want to be, right? So it's interesting. Kids don't always behave in a good way, in a respectful way. We have to say, hey, that's not respectful. But how much of our ideals and ideas and beliefs should go towards those kids? And I think, if you're a quote unquote good parent, okay, but compared to who are you a good parent? And how much of your beliefs of what a good parent should be going towards that kid? If you have a lot of money, you might spoil your kid because you think you're being a good parent, but somebody else that might be more money savvy and saving and stuff, and spoiling your kid is wrong, then they might say, hey, don't spoil your kid. So it's really interesting. I'm saying don't let your kids just do whatever they want. So I don't know. I think that's very debatable, but you can let me know what you think in the comment below. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, comment at any point if you see something that you hear, or if you hear me say something that doesn't make sense.
Before you criticize the world. And that's not take no action for others until you have your act together. That isn't what the rule means. It means that bind your ambition with humility and work on what's right in front of you that you will suffer for if you get wrong before you engage in the large-scale transformation of other people. Rule 7 is do what is meaningful
and not
what is expedient. And I would say in some sense, that's the core ethos of the book. Not exactly, because Rule 8, which is tell the truth or at least don't lie, is a necessary conjunction to that, or a necessary additional element, because I don't think that you can pursue what is meaningful without telling the truth. And the reason for that is if you don't tell the truth, or let's say if you lie, which is an easier way to think about it, you corrupt the mechanisms, the instinctual mechanisms that manifest themselves as meaning, and then you can't trust them. And that's a very bad idea. So the fundamental reason to not lie is because you corrupt your own perceptions if you lie. And when you corrupt your own perceptions, then you can't rely on yourself.
Yeah.
And if you can't rely on yourself, then, well, good luck
Screw
to
it.
you.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to rely on in the absence of your own judgment?
So this is, I don't know, tell the truth. And be careful who you share your truth to, right? But one thing that I've noticed is, I think every person goes through this. Maybe I'm uniquely different, maybe not. So tell the truth. I've noticed that for me, and I think other people also do the same thing, is I sometimes tell the truth to the extent of whatever I think. And then after that, I say, you know what, this is the line, or this is only the amount of truth that I'm going to tell. The rest, I'm going to keep it out. And I seem to do that sometimes even to myself. Is like, okay, I'm going to schedule this and I'm going to get this done. Whatever the end of the day comes, I'll probably done for 45 to 70, depending on the day, of the things that I plan to do that day. And I don't get it done. But even when I'm making that schedule, I've kind of was in the back of my head like, oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. So I am creating a path for myself to succeed, to do something. But in the back of my head, I'm doubting myself. Oh, I might not be able to do this, or I'm actually not going to do this. But still, like, I'm going to put it out there and just put it in my schedule. So I'm lying to myself and not being honest in my ability to finish that specific thing. And I'm lying to myself. And if I'm not honest and truthful to myself, am I going to be really honest and truthful to other people? And I think when you're truthful to yourself, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that you are more likely to be happy with who you are. Jordan Peterson has this thing called Future Authoring Program, where you literally, the classes, you sit down, you write about all the things that you could do, you can start taking steps to be successful. And I think probably one of the things you have to write about is how honest you are with yourself and with other people. So I don't want to beat the dead horse, but just it's so interesting. Just being honest with yourself can really lead your life in a positive direction. And yeah, it's really hard because I think people lie often. They lie often. Um, when they, hey, how are you doing today? I'm doing good. But the whole day's been so bad. But we're just programmed to be, oh, I was a good day. You smile, but inside you could be hurting. So we've just been taught to just lie. So being honest to yourself and to other people is hard. But let's keep going. Let's keep on going.
You've got nothing if you lose that. Rule 8
Truth.
is, as I said, tell the truth or at least don't lie. Rule 9, assume that the person that you're listening to knows something you don't.
No.
And that's not so much a mark of respect
That's
for
crazy.
the person, although it is that. It's a mark of recognition of your own unbearable ignorance. One of the things you have to do in life, you have to decide what's more important, what you know or what you don't know. First of all, there's a lot of what you don't know. And so if you make friends with that, if you decide that's important, then, well, that's a good thing because you're going to be surrounded by what you don't know your entire life. And so if you're appreciative of that, then that's going to make things go better for you. But the other element of that is, well, why should you be appreciative of what you don't know? And the answer to that is, well, you shouldn't. If your life is absolutely perfect in every way, you have exactly what you need and want, you've put it in order around you, then what you know is sufficient. But if you believe that things could still be put right around you in your own personal life and with regard to the effect that you have on other people, then obviously what you don't yet know is more important than what you do know, and you should be paying attention to find out what you don't know at every possible moment.
Let's go.
And if you're fortunate when you have a conversation with someone and you're actually interested in what they say, then
that's true.
Even if they're not very good at communicating, even if they're awkward, or even if they display a certain amount of enmity towards you, there's always the possibility that they might tell you something you don't know, in which case you can walk away from the conversation less ignorant and corrupt than you were when you started the conversation. And if your life isn't everything that you would like it to be, then being slightly less ignorant and corrupt is probably a good thing. And so Rule 10 is be precise in your speech. And that's an observation I would say that
Be precise in your speech. Joe, before that, when he was talking about how it's just it, I mean, Jordan Peterson just has, I think, a lot of really good things that is just useful. Um, and I hope you're enjoying this. And if, once again, if you found out anything interesting while you're listening to this, some detail that I skipped over, just go ahead and leave it in the comment. I will try to respond to you as soon as I can. But yeah, I liked how Jordan Peterson kind of said, "Hey, listen to somebody as if that person you're talking to has something to say." And I think there is truth in that, right? Nobody's life is so good, and nobody knows. If you know everything, you don't need to listen to anybody. But most likely, if you're a human, you don't know everything, and you need some kind of help. Say there's some knowledge you don't know, and a lot of times I feel like when you think you know something and you're talking to somebody who hasn't been in that field long enough to know the same things you know, because you think you're an expert in that area, I think that's the moment. Like let's say like you think you're a good person, right? And you're talking about how to treat people. Now, if your mentality is like anybody that doesn't treat me good, I'm not gonna treat him good. And you're talking to somebody and you're having this conversation, the person you're talking to saying, "Hey, do not just disrespect anybody just because they're being rude or whatever. Be Even if they're shouting, hear them out. Because usually, if you let people talk, after a while, they would. If you just sit back and listen to them, like Jordan Peterson always says, they always tell you they're about the craziest thing they're going through in life and all this stuff. Just listen. So, and in that same point, like when you're just listening to somebody, just be like, you know what, is this person trying to tell me something that I already don't know? And or do I know all this stuff? And should I just keep listening for that one point that I've always missed my whole life? I don't know everything, and I'm just really trying to learn about life. And I think a lot of times it's in the comments or watching other valuetainment or listening to Jordan Peterson that I get to learn like a lot of stuff about life. So always don't just judge people in however way they look, however way they're acting. Just really, if they're talking to you, be respectful, listen, and then after that, you spend 5 minutes of your life or 20 minutes of your life, maybe you learn something. That's the goal, right? Learn something so that you can improve yourself in your life. So Jordan Peterson is going to the next point, and this is going to be a really good one.
That's a variant of a New Testament injunction, which is, or maybe a description of the nature of the world, which is knock and the door will open, and ask and you will receive, which is a very strange theory, let's say, but which I would say is far more in accordance with what we know about the psychology of perception, let's say, than you might imagine, because it is the case that you don't get what you don't aim at.
Mm-hmm.
You might get what you do aim at, and your aim might get better as you aim as well, which is something to consider. If you specify the nature of the if you specify the nature of the being that you want to bring into being, then you radically increase the probability that that's what will occur. And of course, you all know that because you regard yourself, at least to some degree, as active creative agents, right? Your fundamental attitude towards yourself, at least in the manner that you act towards yourself, is that you wake up in the morning and you have a landscape of possibilities that lay themselves open to you, and you make choices between those possibilities and determine in consequence how the world is going to manifest itself. So you can have a field of potential. That's a good way of thinking about it. And through your choices, you determine which elements of that potential are going to concretize themselves into the real world. And you are very unhappy with yourself if you don't do that properly, and you're very unhappy with other people if they don't do that properly, and you're very unhappy with other people if they don't treat you like that's what you're like. Because
Yo, I'm just gonna make this one the last point. This video is already 20 minutes. I'm gonna leave a link to the video, maybe Jordan Peterson's YouTube account. But dude, this last part, I feel like it's a lot about goal setting and being goal oriented. The things that you aim at, you have a chance of hitting, and the things you don't aim at, you have no chance. If you don't have a target to aim, let's say you get a bow and arrow and you want to practice. If you just fire without aiming in any, if you're not trying to hit anything specific, you just fire your bow and arrow. There's a lot of things, a lot of outcomes that can happen, right? You can maybe hit somebody, an animal, right? You can hit a card, you could hit a tree, a cat. There's a lot of things you can hit. Or you can hit nothing. But all these things you're hitting are just random as heck. So you have to set a goal so you can hit that thing that you want. Even if you miss somewhere close, right? If you aim, come on. If you're aiming this way, you're not going to hit that way. Or hit that way or that way. So if you're aiming straight in front of you, you're going to hopefully hit somewhere close by that object of target. If it is success, if it is a job, if it is a family, whatever it is. And I think it is so, like, a lot of people miss that. Like, aim at what you want. So this YouTube, the reason I'm making this YouTube is I want to be able to express myself. And I want also share some kind of value. Like, there's a lot of people out there without parents, a dad, a mom, brothers who are able to just speak and be like, you know what, this is the real conversation I think we should have. When you're growing up, you should know what, like, this stuff that Jordan Peterson's talking about. And you get to miss it out because nobody's talking about it. So, I think it's just really, really valuable. And especially nowadays, with divorce and all that stuff, dad not being at home, and you not having anybody, but you want to improve your life, you want to have a goal, you want to have a role model of how to be a good person in this world. And where can you find that? Not me. Not me. Look at Jordan Peterson. Look at people who motivate you. And that's why I'm creating this channel. If one of these videos catches some person's eye and they get motivated and they're happy, that's it. And if I talk about a stock, financials, business, this is personality, which is so important for business, to have a personality, to have goals, to tell the truth, at least try not to lie. Like, all these things are important. And that's why I have this kind of topic in my channel. I hope this helped. Every time I watch a Jordan Peterson video, it helps me. And I hope you have some kind of value. And I hope you just let me know in the comments. You leave a like. I have my Instagram page down there. I don't really have Twitter, so I have my Instagram. I'm gonna have a link for other videos in my YouTube video. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and thank you for joining me. And if you have any other video that you want me to react to, or any specific things related to business, finance, educational stuff that you want me to talk about, just let me know. All right? I hope you have a great day, and see you next time.